Alright, what's up guys? This is the second part in our chess series, and I will be explaining the mid game or middle game. So, like the pre-game and beginning game, there's a couple of really important principles and rules that one should know. So here you find yourself, this is a, just a generated middle game chessboard. So one of the more important things to realize is centralizing your pieces, right? So that just means, you want them to be able to access a lot more than just being in the corner. Like, it's pretty well known that like a knight can access, it can access 8 squares if it's in the middle, but only 2 if it was in a corner. So that's really important. So as you can see, the bishop here on e6, for black is way better than if the bishop was in the corner where the rook is now for black. So they might have a better bishop here. Another one thing that you want to remember is regarding pawns, you always want to capture to the center. So, say, and this is probably hypothetical, say white moves pawn b5, and they don't do anything, black doesn't do anything with a knight. They just, do a dummy move, queen e8. White would say white had the option if they had a pawn on d5. They would want to capture with b5 just for the purpose of capturing towards the middle. You always want to do that, like I said in the first video. Centralizing pieces and keeping control of the center is very important, and you need to remember that. Another really important rule is just avoiding if you have a weakness. So you want to keep your pawns connected. Right here, with white, you see all 3 of these pawns are connected. Same thing here. This pawn on b2 does pose kind of a problem. You double pawns on the b file, but that's okay, considering they're all connected. What you don't want is a lone pawn on, e4 like they have here. Yeah, it does provide, an attack on d5 and f5, but it's just an isolate pawn, and it would cost too much resources to actually defend it. So yeah, like I said, these pawn chain right here is really good, and the pawns connected here are really good. And you also just always want to occupy, the files with the rooks. So what I missed in the previous video, you always want to empty out your file, so your back file. So connecting rooks is kind of seen as how you end the beginning and start the middle game. So as you can see, white's rooks are connected, but black's aren't. So, what white could do is if they wanted more control of the c file with the knight and the pawn there, they move one rook here. Black ideally would want to free up their queen and, get away from this nasty attack on the bishop, which I guess I left. And then white could do a nice rook lift to the b file. If black knows what's happening, then they might want to also add to the c file. And then, just another rook. So this creates a real powerful battery for white right here with the two rooks. Another thing white wants to do, though, it's really important. You want to keep the bishop pair, which they did. Technically, knights and bishops are worth the same, and it's also the player's preference. But the bishop pair can be seen as, the light and dark sword bishop can be seen as pretty deadly. The next really important rule is just trading. So say black is down 2 pawns, or down a pawn, or down a piece, or just down material. They probably would not necessarily just want to go off trading their pieces, because that would lead to a more disastrous endgame for black. What they really would want to do is say they are equal on material as they are now. That is when you might want to trade. So what I mean by trade is, move pawn here. If black captures here, that opens up another escape on the queen, which is taken. So like I said, you always just want to trade down pieces if you can. Again, that's a personal preference thing, but it's really important to not trade down if you're losing in material. And I think that's it for video 2. Thanks for tuning in. Yeehaw.